bad. All right.
My life looks much different today than it did yesterday.
How so?
Well, crazy computer setup yesterday at work, and
You're very cute. I don't even notice, honestly, like I don't even notice that stuff anymore. Like with kids and all that, I'm like, I don't even pay attention to the backgrounds. All right. Okay, let's rock and roll. I'm just going to pull up my notes. Of course, people will always trickle in as they do. Take a sip. I made like very hot matcha today. Oh, it's a hot one. Okay. So as always, I'm going to do a little bit of a recap. So very first code, belief. I'm actually probably going to lose track of all these codes. The very first code was belief, where we talked about obviously wanting to be able to, or having the ability to be able to believe in the things that you're actually calling in, really truly trusting yourself, trusting the fact that you have the ability to do this. The second one is then obviously embodiment. So and embodiment is basically like, who are you? Who are you when things go, like when things are going good? Who are you when things aren't going good? How does that translate into how you show up essentially? And then the third one was radical responsibility, which is probably one of my favorite codes of all. And then of course, the fourth one was boundaries, which I also think is super, super important. Hold on me 1 second. Just want to switch. Okay. Which I also think is super, super important. And then of course, the fifth one, oh, there's somebody coming in. And then of course, the fifth one, wait, did we say this? First is belief, second is embodiment, third is radical responsibility, fourth is boundaries. And then the fifth one that we are going to be diving into today is a big one. And I have talked about this a lot in the past. The fifth code, oh, sorry, I'm just going to mute everybody. Okay, good. The fifth code that we are going to be diving into today, everybody's favorite topic, emotional intelligence. And the reason why, if you're a Nourished, I beat this thing to death. So I'm not going to say I'm talking about it in a little bit of a different way today. I will, but this is the thing. I will always beat this one to death. And the reason why is the reason why this has to be part of the codes is because when we lack emotional intelligence, the reason why emotional intelligence is so powerful is because when we lack it, it can make us believe completely illogical things, and we don't even question them. It can make us trust the idea that something isn't working. It can make us trust the idea that we aren't worthy. It can make us trust the idea that where we are right now is where we will always be, and none of this is true. And this is why emotional intelligence is so important, because when these feelings come up, they are so painful. They are so hard. They are so frustrating. And so we just give in to them. And inevitably what happens is that we deny ourselves the very things that we desire. And as a result, we end up repeating this process, sometimes even with our kids. And this is the very thing that continues to sort of like repeat that cycle and keep us stuck. And it's funny because so often when I think about my own journey, I think about, I can't, like the years are even foggy. So like, I won't even do the years, but I'm going to walk you through the sequence of events that essentially like happened in my life. So I can remember it was like the day before, it was the day before my birthday. And I was sitting at my desk. I was an executive in a big corporation. I was one of the PR executives there. And I was coming out of the most toxic relationship of my life. And I had gotten divorced, entered into this like horrific relationship, was in it for 3 years, and I was just coming out of it. And I had put on so much weight. I was miserable. I was drinking a lot. And I can remember sitting at the desk, realizing that my birthday, I think it must have been the day before or 2 days before, my birthday was like imminent. And I was like starting to cry at my desk, and I had an office with glass windows. So this is not the vibe. And I was just like, what do I need to do? And so I can remember sitting there, and there were 2 women that I followed on social media that I absolutely loved. And they worked out at this like premier gym in Toronto. And it's a personal training only gym. So you can only go there. You can't go there and work out. You can only work out there if you're working with one of these like elite trainers. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to contact this gym. I'm going to make an appointment. And so I remember I like went down, I made an appointment to go down like that day after work. And then one of my best friends had gone to Mexico recently with like a girlfriend, and they went on this like yoga meditation retreat. And I was like, you know what? I need to get the F out of Dodge. I'm going. I had like no money. This is always my story. I have no money. I had no money. And so I think I split the trip up. I called them and I split the trip up on 2 credit cards, and I knew that a tax return was coming. And so I was like, okay, hopefully my tax return will help to pay some of this off. So I split the trip up on 2 credit cards. And then I went to the gym, and I can remember sitting down with the owner of the gym, and he was talking to me about all of the different packages. The cheapest package was $1,000 a month, the cheapest one. And so like I'm sitting there and I'm just like, oh my God, I just did this trip to Mexico today. Now I have to drop like another $1,000. So again, I said to him, I'm like, can you just give me a second? I went into like, I can't even remember. I moved money. I must have put it on like multiple different cards. And I was like, okay, let's make this happen. I had no idea how I was going to make the rest of the months happen. I was like, I'm in. I panicked. My mind the whole time was telling me like, no, this is so illogical. And I was like, I am in. And so the sequence of events that happened after that literally changed my life. I went to Mexico, and I remember I told this story many times. There were 2 different groups that were having a yoga retreat at the time, a younger, like all girls, like very, very cool. And I was like, those are my people. There was like this older group where like probably I was the youngest person. The youngest person on the trip beside me was probably like 40, which is like how old I am now. And I remember being like, they're not my people. This was the group that I was supposed to go with. But I ended up meeting the most magical people of my entire, like I was, by the end of the trip, I was like, I was supposed to be with this group, because so many transformational things happened on this trip. And I remember when I came back from Mexico, so I think I started training at the gym about 2 weeks before I left. Marcus worked at the gym. I met my husband. At the time, we hated each other. And I was like, who is this douchebag loser? But over time, we became really, really great friends. We were probably friends for about 5 months until like one day I looked at him and I was just like, oh my God, I actually think I might love you. And from that point on, we were like inseparable. So I have the fear of signing up at the gym. I have the fear of going to Mexico. Mexico changes my life on like levels that I can't even explain to you. The gym, I lose all my weight. I finally figure out food. I get the body of my dreams. I meet my husband. A year and a half after that, we have Maddie. In that time, I also start, because I've lost this like exceptional amount of weight. Everybody's wondering what the hell I did. And so I start coaching. Like I just like started teaching people like what I did. Like, and then I was finally like, I'm absolutely obsessed with helping people do this. I'm going to become a nutritionist. So on the side, I have a full-time PR job, and I start becoming a nutritionist. So I start coaching. I'm absolutely obsessed with it. We have Maddie. I then decide I really want to make this something. So I invest another $10,000, scared shitless, always. I invest another $10,000 to work with a business coach to help me create a business. I'm like, I have never done this before. What do? I want to make a business. Invest the money. 9 months after we have Maddie, I get pregnant with Sienna. So while I'm pregnant with Sienna, I am building this business, putting it all together, creating the Nourish system. And the very same month I have Sienna, I launch the Nourish system. I also get asked to do a national TV spot. Actually, I'm on TV, so I go on TV twice. I also get asked to go on TV twice. I go on TV. I'm getting asked to do podcasts around the clock. Like, my life is literally blowing up as I have a brand new baby. Actually, I went on my first TV spot right before I had Sienna. I was pregnant. I will never forget that. My very first time I'm on national TV and I am pregnant. Like, of course, this has to happen this way. And so I have Sienna, I launch Nourish. Nourish completely blows up. And to date, we have helped over 400 women lose. I think we're almost up to 8,000, over 8,000, roughly 300 something pounds to date, with an astronomical success rate. So many women think about the cost of investing in their health, and it scares the fuck out of them. I think about the cost of not investing in my health, and it scares the fuck out of me. Because had I not had the emotional intelligence to sit in that session with that gym owner and focus more on my goals than on my motherfucking stupid bank account and my credit cards, none of my life would exist today. None of my life. I have no idea where I would have been. Nourish wouldn't have existed. 400 women would never have gotten the transformations that they've gotten. I never would have met Marcus. I never would have had my children. None of this would have happened. And I can remember about a year ago, I had a conversation with a woman. I'll never forget. I have so many conversations with women, but there was one in particular, and she had 3 girls, and she was working full time. She was a professor, and she was burnt out, and I could tell she was burnt out, and she had literally lost the ability to stop losing weight, which is also very near and dear to my heart. And both successful, her and her husband, and yet she had this whole story of guilt in her head. I don't want to spend the money on myself. I don't want to spend the money on myself. And I can remember being like, I don't understand how such a powerful woman, like literally on the call, and I'm trying to coach her through her emotions. And she's like, it feels too scary. I can't. It feels too scary. I can't do this. And the worst part is about all of these stories is that only 1 or 2 months ago, I saw one of her things like pop up on social media, and I sent her a message and I was like, hey, how's it going? Like, how are things? Exact same spot. Truthfully, to her, probably in her mind, she's in the exact same spot. Because I'm a professional, I know that she's probably a lot worse off. There's probably a lot more adrenal damage. Like, things have probably gotten progressively worse. And so the hill to climb out of this hole that she has created is probably 10 times higher. And so I think about whenever I think about emotional intelligence, I always think about the fact that the truth of the matter is we have been trained this way in our society to respond in these manners, to move away from the discomfort. We are a consumer-based culture where we are constantly buying new things, constantly buying bigger houses, constantly buying nicer cars, constantly wanting to go on better vacations. Not to mention, we are being marketed to every single day with food that is addictive, drugs that offer quick fixes, supplements that are the magic pill. And so is it any wonder then that our initial response is to always move away from the discomfort? Is it any wonder then somebody would rather take like a Xanax every single day than go to therapy, sit down, deal with their shit, and meditate? Instant fix. I don't want to do any of that stuff. It takes too long. It's too hard. It's too much work. But it is the simple fact that because we lack the ability to feel the feelings that we feel and help ourselves move through them, that we stay stuck. Not only do we stay stuck, I truly believe that oftentimes, like with that woman, the hole just gets deeper. And so it breaks my heart that the most important skills that humans need, the most important skill that we need of all time, emotional intelligence, is not taught to us. In a way, it is taught to us. It's taught to us subconsciously. It's taught to us by watching, by modeling. That's how we pick it up. How we respond to situations, how we cope, how we navigate our emotions. We watched what others did, and then we took that on. And so from like a very young age, I got to see my mom and dad come home after work, and my dad could tell my dad could tell what kind of a night it was going to be based on like how noisy my mom was in the kitchen. So if she was slamming drawers and if she was banging around pots and pans, he was like, this is going to be a 2 martini night. This is going to be a spritzer and whatever, like a scotch after dinner kind of an evening. And that's what he did. And so on a regular basis, I saw my dad come home after work and make my mom a drink to help her cope. And the messed up thing is, what my mom probably really, really wanted was for my dad to just sit with her in the kitchen and talk to her about her day. But he went downstairs and like, either maybe he went out in the shed and he was doing his like guy thing, or maybe he went downstairs and he was playing Nintendo with us, or whatever the hell he was doing. But I started to see, and now looking back, on the days that he did sit with her in the kitchen while she made dinner, she didn't need drinks. She wanted somebody there to help her work through it, to just sit and listen. That's what she needed. But growing up, I saw the alcohol. Growing up, when because my dad is a recovering alcoholic, well, he's drinking again, but growing up, he didn't drink in front of us. In fact, I only ever saw him drink 2 times. One was when he rolled our car on the highway in the winter. Rightly so, you deserve scotch. That's scary as shit. And then the other one was when my grandpa died, but then he started drinking again. Not like drunk drinking, but for any of you who have alcoholism in your family, you know that like when you start drinking again, it's drinking. And so I saw that growing up. I saw my mom numb with alcohol. I saw my dad numb with food. And then I saw my dad, because he numbed with food, restrict, binge, restrict, binge. I saw this to this day, yo-yo pattern with his weight all the time. And so that was taught to me. And so I'm not surprised that growing up then, after school, if I had a really bad day, I went straight for always cereal for some reason, always cereal. I always went for the cereal. Bowls upon bowls of cereal. My emotions guided me through my life. And food was the vehicle that I used, or the thing that I used to comfort myself. And like it or not, our emotions are still what guide us through so much of our life. Partners, new jobs, houses, the desire to have children. These are emotional decisions. Very rarely are they logical. Logic obviously needs to come into play. New partner, you want to see that you guys have the same values, that, you can work together as a team, that you can create a life together with this person. New job, like, does it tick the box? Is it going to pay you the salary? Is it like within a distance that you want? How many weeks of vacation do you get? Houses, can you afford it? What's the mortgage? Like, all of those things. Kids, can you afford it? Are you in a place where you can take that on? Sure, the practical is there, but the emotions guide those decisions. When I met Marcus, I wasn't like, oh man, this dude is like 6 years younger than me. He's a personal trainer. No, I was like, I love his heart. I love his heart. I love that man's soul. When we bought this house, for those of you who know the story of this house, I literally we pulled up in front of it. And I would have signed paperwork without even stepping inside. Because I knew this is it. Some of the best decisions that we have ever made in our lives are a result of emotions. Some of the worst decisions that we make in our lives are a result of emotions. But the difference that I am finding in my own experience is that the best decisions are the ones that are guided by love. And the worst decisions that I've ever made are guided by fear. My 10-year battle with weight was fear-based. My first marriage, fear-based. My toxic previous relationship after that, totally fear-based. Career moves, all of these things motivated by fear. Because when our emotions go up, I say this all the time, our logic goes down. Which is why so often, I feel like a lot of you are going to be able to relate to this. When you jump on the scale and you don't see the number that you want, you get frustrated. There's a lot of fear, there's a lot of disappointment, there's a lot of, frustration, hopelessness, feeling of defeat. And so we eat. We convince ourselves that the thing that's going to make us feel better is food. Which in reality, like when you stop and think about it, if you're on a weight loss journey and the scale goes up, it's like the last thing that you want to do is eat for whatever reason. But that's what happens. Our logic goes down. We don't think about the fact that it may be hormonal. We don't think about the fact that we may be getting sick. We don't think about the fact that our period might be around the corner. We don't think about the fact that maybe we just ate a lot of salt yesterday. Maybe we had a really intense workout. Our body's retaining water. None of that enters into our heads. It's that number changed in a direction that I did not want it to go to, and I'm pissed. And then we start to do totally illogical things like, I'm going to go and eat whatever I want today. You know what? This is too much for me right now. I'm going to step away from my diet for a bit. I just need a couple of days off to get myself together. You're not stepping away from anything but the discomfort that you feel. That feeling that you feel is exactly where you need to go. Head on into it, because that is what needs to be healed. And by stepping away from your diet, eating, or whatever other sort of excuse, because truthfully, that's what they are, they're excuses, whatever other thing you are telling yourself to do, you are moving yourself away from the very thing that you desire and right back to where you started. And one of the greatest blessings of my life, which took a very long time to feel this way, still frustrates the fuck out of me, but I see it now as such a big blessing, was after when I had Sienna and I literally could not lose weight. My hormones were so messed up, my stress was so high, and I couldn't lose the weight. And so no matter what I did, I would step on that scale. I could have eaten 500 calories a day and that thing would have not moved. And so for the very first time in my life, I thought that I had a handle on the scale. I had no idea. I thought that I was good around that number. I had no idea. Because for the very first time in my life, I could eat as clean as I wanted to, work out as much as I wanted to, use every trick in the book that I had, and that thing would not move. And without the skills of being able to navigate those emotions, the sheer fear of being like, oh my God, what if it never changes? What if this is it? What if my body is just going to look like this for the rest of my life? Being able to hold myself in that is truthfully what has been the greatest gift of all time. Because alternatively, I could have been like, there's no point. I'm not going to lose weight anyways. What does it matter what I eat? I'm going to go and drink and stuff my face. But I already, like, that's the other thing too, is like, that wasn't even an option for me, because I'm like, well, damn, I can definitely gain weight really quickly. I can't lose it. So now I have to have a come to Jesus moment of like, what is this going to look like for the rest of my life if this is it? What if this is my new number? And so when I stepped on the scale and the tears would start to fall and the frustration, and my body would vibrate with like fear and anxiety, the only thing I could do was sit there and nurture myself. Hold that space. Remind myself that it was okay that I felt this way. It's normal. This is not cool. This is going to be really hard. If anybody can do this, you can. Because without the skills of being able to navigate our emotions, we are led by them instead of leading ourselves through them. And the challenge is that so often, many of these emotions that we feel are emotions that are from the past. When I stepped on the scale, it wasn't Lindsay, 37, no past behind her stepping on that scale in the moment, seeing the number. It was Lindsay, lifetime of being overweight, lifetime of being teased, lifetime of feeling not good enough, lifetime of being rejected from boys, lifetime of being the fat kid. It was all of that every single day that came rushing back. It wasn't just the present moment. If it was just the present moment, I feel like it would have been so much easier. It was everything. It was my whole life that came back. And then when we are led by our emotions, that means the past is the one making the decisions. It's not our future. The old me, the self-sabotaging me, the I'm going to give up, the this isn't worth it, like this isn't working, that was the me that was driving it. Instead of the Lindsay who was like, this is exactly where I want to go, and this is how I need to get there. Which is also why then we rely on the same responses that we've had in the past, because that's our pattern. I'm sad, I eat. I'm frustrated, I drink. Whatever it may be, I online shop, like insert your numbing mechanism here. This is the cycle that we've created. Because your brain doesn't know what else to do. It wants to get rid of this feeling really, really quickly. And so you can't think. Which is why yesterday in our midday check-in, one of the strategies that I was talking about was it's important in your visualizations to imagine the really shitty things happening and training your brain of how to respond to them. Because now when I step on the scale, I am hyper aware. I'm hyper aware of how I feel even before I step on the scale. And I already know if I'm having a bad day, I'm not stepping on that scale. Because again, my emotions aren't level. I don't have the ability. I may have the ability, but I don't have the ability as well as I normally would have to work through the stuff. So why am I even going to put myself through that? But if your pattern is, I don't feel good and I do this, then that's why we have to explore these patterns, because they're so important. When you were sad growing up, how did the people around you respond? Like, how did they respond to you? Were they like, oh, stop crying, it's so silly, like, you don't, just shh, it's okay, shh? Or were they like, what's going on? What's happening? Where do you feel it? How does it feel? Even today, if you were to call your mom or your dad or your best friend, are they like toxic positivity? Oh, don't worry, it's all going to work out. Everything's going to be fine. Don't worry, it's going to be fine. Do they try to give you advice, or are they just like, I'm here, go for it. Tell me more. How does that make you feel? When you make a mistake, how did people respond? When you achieve something, how did people respond? After a hard day of work, what did your parents do? Well, after a hard day of school, what did you do? In your partnerships, how have your partners responded? What are your patterns there? When you cry in the presence of somebody, what is your reaction? Are you like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, like or do you just cry? Are you comfortable in your emotions? Or do you push them away? Do you try to pull them down so that you can't feel them? And the same thing can the same thing that can be done when we think about even food. Like, What were your patterns around food? Did you snack after school every single day? When you came home from school, did your mom have a snack for you? Did you head to the kitchen right away? Is it any wonder then that you snack after work? Like, did you have a snack before bed? Is it any wonder then that now you want something before? Like, these things don't just like come up. We were trained on some level that this is what we do. And so we need to lead ourselves through the past and into the future, because living in the past can deter you from your future, but understanding it can really help to inform your future. So you have to take yourself by the hand and heal. You have to look at that past and you have to know that that is not your truth anymore and that you are creating something new. Because it's only when we are aware of these patterns that we have the power to change them. But it takes being able to understand our emotions and intelligently work through them. Because the other interesting thing about our emotions is that it informs the beliefs that we have. So when we think back to the first code, you can very closely make the connections between how you feel in that moment and how that can impact what you believe to be true. Do you believe that it is possible for you to lose this weight? Do you believe that it is possible to eat the foods that you love and maintain your weight? Do you believe that it is possible for you to have the body of your dreams? Do you believe that it is possible for you to maintain your results effortlessly? Do you believe that it is possible for you to feel normal around food? How did you feel when I said those things? Is it a full body yes? Are you like, fuck yeah, totally believe that. Yep, totally true. Yep. Or are you like, I don't actually believe that. I don't think I can lose this weight. I don't think this is possible for me. Because you're responsible for the thoughts that you think. You're responsible for the emotions that you feel, because these are what translate into the beliefs that you hold. And the negative thoughts are going to continue to come up. I hate to say it. I have them all the time, every single day. Because often I think that that's like what we've been trained our whole life. I never saw my mom and dad really speak positively. I saw my mom stress a lot. My mom's a stress ball. That's why I was a stress ball. I run high anxiety. And every single time I feel it now, I'm like, oh man, this is not my energy. This is my mom's. Because we need to learn and understand and create awareness around sort of what our special breed is. What are our patterns? What are the things that we do? And how do we work through them? I have clients that are triggered by the scale and they step on the freaking thing every single day. And I'm like, how do you feel when you step on that? Anxious? I don't feel good. If it goes down, I feel great. Oh, that's wonderful. Why are we stepping on this thing all the time? But we start to acclimatize too, like almost the highs and lows. Like it starts to be very like manic, like masochistic. We become addicted to that feeling and it starts to be our conditioning. And then, so of course, we don't think that we have options. Like, what would your life look like if you never stepped on the scale again? What would it look like? I lost 80 pounds. I never stepped on it once. And I wasn't worried about the results every single week, like, which is why I think it was such a freeing experience. because I didn't have a time frame. I'm sure eventually I probably would have ran out of money. It was a lot of money, but like I didn't have a time frame. So we need to question, we need to get curious, because when you slow down and you shift your thoughts, you can start to then see all of the possibilities. You can become clear and you can know exactly what you need to do. It was like yesterday in the afternoon session. Even in that moment when I was meditating about Maddie, I'm just gonna bring myself back, about her not listening to me, about me needing to run errands, me wanting to run home. I could feel my cortisol go up, and all of a sudden my brain was like, I don't know what to think. I'm stressed. And so I had to sit there in that moment. I'm totally safe. This isn't even happening. It's okay. What would you really do? What would you really do? And I was like, well, what could we do? What would really get Madison home? She'd probably love a game. Let's make a game. And so yesterday, when I went to pick up my children from school, a very similar scenario happened. Maddie was in fine form. Poor little monkey. I think she's just tired. Maddie was in fine form. Did not want to go home. Didn't even want to run errands, the whole thing. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to race you. What did we race to first? The bench. They have a beautiful like rainbow bench at school. I'm going to race you to the rainbow bench. I'm going to race you to the gray car. And then she starts getting into it. I'm going to race you to the blue car. I'm going to race you to the red car. I'm going to race you to like this tree or whatever it was. We got home in half the time. I was like, damn, I'm using this all the time. But that was because in the moment, in my visualization, I was like, make a game. I'm training my brain how to think. I'm training my emotions to be able to be like, we don't need to freak out. We've got this. It's okay. The crazy continues and I keep breathing. Oh, you're so sweet. Because when you slow down and you shift your thoughts, like I said, you start to see the possibilities. You can become clear and you know what you need to do. So when we think about, let's use the scale. I love the scale. So the practical. When the scale goes up, let's get curious. What are the reasons? Why did it go up? Like I said before, so many reasons. There's like 15 reasons why the scale goes up, and you could eat perfectly. What do I need to shift? What do I need to do? Did I overeat this week? Was I out of alignment with my goals? And now all of a sudden I'm expecting a bloody miracle. Like what is the situation at hand? Then from an emotional and an energetic standpoint, what am I feeling? How can I nurture myself through this? What do I need to do to get into alignment? And nurturing yourself can be simple, like as simple as just like talking yourself off the ledge. Or it can also be, again, a visualization. Like one of the things that I go back to often is, I always cry when I tell a story. I don't think I'm going to cry today though. But my mom and my dad weren't necessarily very affectionate growing up. My mom's a Virgo. She's very like she's very like Virgo-y. Order. Get in line. Do the things that you need to do. My dad, just not affectionate. He didn't grow up in an affectionate family. So it's not to say I never got kissed and I never got hugged. That wasn't the default. It was very much like, stop crying. Let's figure this out. And so now often what I do whenever I feel sad, whenever I feel scared or frustrated, is I close my eyes and I envision myself with my head in my mom's lap. It feels so good. And I imagine her just running her fingers through my hair, giving me exactly what I needed when I was a kid. There's a lot of healing that actually happened with my mom and my relationship just by me doing that. We didn't even talk about it. What do I need right now? I want somebody to tell me everything's going to be okay. I want somebody to tell me it's okay that I feel this way. And I just close my eyes and I imagine that. And I do that until I feel better. And I do feel better. I nurture myself. I give myself everything that I needed. Because in doing that, I'm then also able to give that to my girls. Because I can do it to myself. My mom was hard on us because she was hard on herself. She was hard on herself because her mom was hard on her. Her mom was hard on her. You guys get the pattern. So she couldn't give us love because she never felt it. She knew how to get in line. She knew how to be a good girl. She knew how not to disappoint. She knew how to act. She knew how to like show up. She never knew how to love. And so the more that I can show myself that, the more I can give it to my girls. Because then when Maddie's freaking out, I know, as frustrating and as uncomfortable as her emotions are for me, she doesn't need me to project that shit onto her. She probably just wants a really big fucking hug. 9 times out of 10, she really does. Which is funny because then even when she tells me that she doesn't and I walk away, she's like, no, I really want a hug. Fucking kids, I love them. So when you step on the scale, the emotional and energetic response is, what am I feeling? How can I nurture myself through this? What do I need to do to get myself back into alignment? The answer is never, I need to eat a cookie. I'm going to take a couple days off. Because here's the interesting component to that. Then the scale's not going to move next week. It's not going to move next week. And then you're going to have the same pattern. And then it won't move the week after that. And this is how we begin to form our set point. I just want to be really cognizant of the time. I knew this was going to be a big one. This is how we begin to form our set point. So our set point is basically a belief system that we have within ourselves that we cannot go beyond. So for a lot of women, when it comes to, it can be anything. It can be financial. It can be from a weight loss standpoint. Like, I hear this all the time. It's so funny. I was actually just joking with another client about this the other day. Every single woman, I'm going to throw it out there. I haven't done a percentage yet. I really should. I'm going to say like 98% of the women that come into Nourish will say to me, this is my goal weight, but I'd really love to live. Like, okay, how much weight do you want to lose? I want to get down to 150. Okay, how much weight do you really want to lose? I'd love to get down to like 140. They don't believe that 140 is possible. So they create this set point. And oftentimes they will tell me, I've never been able to get below this. I've never been able to get below 150. Why do you think that is? Every single time you get to 150, you naturally start to self-sabotage. It's all subconscious. And as we talked about too, like I truly even believe like what you think impacts, like we did at the very beginning of this program when we were talking about embodiment and I did the extra on the kickoff call. The thoughts that you think impact the cells in your body. And so if you're telling yourself every single day, I'm not going to be able to do this, this weight's not coming off, I'm going to be at this set point forever, your body is going to listen. Energetically, that's what you're putting out there. Every cell is paying attention to what you think. And it's interesting because it's so important for me to share that like every single day, I have these thoughts. Every single day, I still question whether or not weight loss will be possible for me. Every day, there's definitely a part of it where I'm like, I doubt my body a bit. But the difference is that now I notice it. I notice it. I'm like, this isn't true. If Joe Dispenza can heal his freaking back, Lindsay Wolf can lose some freaking weight. Like, that's always the thought in my head. Why not me? Why not me? I also get to be a modern day motherfucking miracle. I I also get to have everything that I've ever wanted in my life. Why not me? I am worthy. But this is why I practice what we've been doing in this program every single day. And I practiced it even when I had zero faith. At the very beginning, when I was like, I'm never going to lose weight again, and I'm already down 25 pounds. I still practiced it. Over time, it's just going to feel a little bit easier. It doesn't feel as much work. Nothing means anything that we don't make it mean. So if you step on the scale and all of a sudden you make that number mean something about you or about your outcome, that's when it makes the difference. If you step on the scale and that's just a number to you, it doesn't mean anything. All it means is that your brain is stuck in a pattern. If you see the number and you get triggered, it just means that your brain is stuck in a pattern that isn't serving you. It means that there is a negative vibration that's been playing out for months, years, maybe even your entire life that is still playing out in your current life. So your only responsibility is to stay in vibrational and emotional alignment to your goals, even when things seem like they're not working, because that is the most important time to do it. And then you take aligned action. So just to be really cognizant of the time in the last 5 minutes. So what can we do? How can we really strengthen our emotional intelligence? As always, the first and only, I don't want to say only, the first and most important thing is awareness. It's awareness. It's awareness that I'm having a really shitty day. This was my day yesterday. I'm having a really shitty day. I'm feeling really tired. I'm feeling really run down. I didn't make it mean anything. I didn't make it mean that I was a bad boss or that I wasn't showing up on social media and my business was going to burn to the ground or anything like that. I was like, I'm just not having a day. I'm going to take some time. I'm going to do the things that I need to do to show up. And I'm going to call it a day. And I could have taken the whole day off and I still would have been okay. I could have said, you know what, guys, consistency codes, not today. Still fine. We're going to take it an extra day. Or we'll do it next week or whatever it is. I didn't make it mean anything. And so don't attach meaning to things. And when you feel the feeling, create awareness around it. I'm really feeling shitty right now. And then I think the next thing that you can do is I really truly believe, to nurture yourself, to mother yourself. What is it that you need? Do you need a freaking hug? Do you need a good cry? I can't tell you how many times a week I cry. What is it that you need? Which is funny because I'm going to tell a quick story. Oh my God, I'm pushing it today. I have a client. I'm telling all my stories about my clients and they're all figuring it out. So now I'm like, I got to try to figure out a way to be even sneaker about this. So I have a client who has struggled to lose weight for a lot of years. She's done a lot, struggled with her body for a very long time. And I remember when she started the program, we got messages all the time. This isn't working. I'm freaking out. Oh my God, what's happening? What's going on? And every single time I was like, don't worry. It's okay. Could be this, this, or this, or this, whatever. And she was like, I feel bad. I'm always reaching out. And I'm like, this is the whole point. You're trying to nurture yourself. You're asking for help. You're asking for support. This is the whole point. You know what you need. You're going to get it. And now it's funny because oftentimes we were on a call, I think it was last weekend or the week before, and something came up and she was like, yeah, I don't even stress about that anymore. It doesn't even bother me. It's a blip on the radar. I've totally got this. Because now she knows. She knows how to nurture herself in the moment. She knows how to use her emotional intelligence in these situations. And she knows what she needs. And so you got to find out what you need. And then I think another one, which is really important, it's one of the best questions. Like, I just love this. I can't even remember where I got it. I always ask myself, what if this weren't true? What could be more true? Am I willing to see this differently? Help me see this differently. And so when we think about even like in relation to the scale, what if this weren't true? What if this actually weren't real weight? What if it was just fake weight, water weight? What could be more true? Well, what could be more true is you're getting your period. It could be more true is that any number of things. Help me see this differently. The scale is going up because that's what your body does when it's inflamed. This is a normal part of the process. Everything's fine. Keep going. And then the rest will fall into place, because the last thing is you just need to stay in vibrational alignment to the goals that you are calling in, which is what we've been doing all week. Keeping yourself there. Knowing that you're going to dip, like knowing that you're going to dip. The dips are going to happen. There are going to be days where you feel super low. But that's why it's so important to work on these things when you feel really good, because then you gain momentum and then they're there when you actually really need them. So often I think when we're feeling really good, that's when we're like, oh, I don't need to do anything. I feel really, really good. I remember that as soon as my stress markers went down, when I was getting all my testing, and as soon as I saw that my stress dropped, I was like, I'm good. I don't have to do this anymore. No, totally just messed up my hormones again. Like 3 months later, I think. I was like, oh, well, guess I do have to do this all the time. So that is the goal. To stay in vibrational alignment with yourself as much as possible. And in order to do that, you have to be able to have emotional intelligence, because when you are vibrationally aligned, you take aligned actions. When you feel good, you want to do the things to make you continue to feel good. And so the more that you can feel good, the more you're going to keep doing the things. And the interesting thing is that when we eat the cookie, we think it's going to make us feel good, but it really doesn't make us feel good. In fact, it makes you spiral even more downwards because it's so out of alignment with what you're calling it. So that is your only job. Tap into how you're feeling. Understand where the patterns are coming from. And move towards those emotions, not away from them. When you do that, you will see more growth than you have experienced in years. Okay, so that is all she wrote for this one, guys. I hope it has been helpful. Any questions? I don't even want to ask for any questions because I know that y'all don't even have them afterwards. You're just like, I just want to get off the call. So I am going to leave it. If you have any questions, you can ask me in the chat or you can post it under this video. I hope this has been helpful. Tomorrow is our last code. It's a really, really good one. I'm excited for this one. So I will see you guys this afternoon for our check-in. I will see you tonight. I am going to do another early one because last night I had a really good sleep and I feel like $1,000,000 today. So I'm going to ride this train. So 7:30, see, checking in. I don't like these stupid 8 o'clock meditations. I want to be in bed asleep at 8 o'clock. I'm going to do it at 7:30. So I will see you guys this afternoon. I love you all. Thank you for showing up. You guys are just kicking ass with this consistency. You're really, really, really just making me so proud. And I'm sure making yourself so proud. So I'll see you guys later. Have a good one.